Welcome everyone. Today we are going to analyze Rory McIlroy's swing from down the line. This is a follow-up of yesterday's video where we analyze his swing from face on to give you an idea, because I always compare my swing to Rory, and that's mainly those two swings, the one from face on and the one from down the line, that you can see right here. This is Rory McIlroy at his last major win, which is Valhalla PGA Championship 2014. And yeah, that's kind of the reference, because I don't know for you, but I always have this assumption that the pro have one swing and they kind of not change over time. But in fact, even Rory, after having watched every single one of his swings throughout the years, I can pretty surely tell you that his swing have drastically, not drastically, but has evolved over time. And there is swing that I liked and others that I don't like that Rory has made over the years. And so in order for me to be consistent, I decided this is this swing and the other one that I showed you that I try to reach in terms of improving my technique. So let's take a look at it. Yes, sorry, let's go. So I just let it run, just so you have a full view here. Oh, sorry. And then we are going to dive deep into each part. Okay, so let's get it. Let's get to it. So first, we have what I told you yesterday. We have the kind of, you see that his hip doesn't move that much, even though he's creating. We don't see it in slow motion because that's almost something you do before he takes the club off. He's getting on his right leg and getting his right knee a little forward, which here his hip are moving a little bit, but actually what happened is they are just getting back almost to center. They are not moving that much. And so the first thing that he does that brings the club about here is hinging the wrist here, like this. That's why to get the club from the ball to about 45, getting the shaft 45 degrees on the first part of the swing, like the first meter or so, is hinge. Then what I believe is trying to create width, trying to create massive amount of rotation while moving his arm as little as possible, which is going to create, as you can see, the club is going to set while the arm, it seems high, but actually I'm setting the club even with the arm even higher. So what I'm thinking is, here is creating extreme amount of width here, trying to really set the big rotation, and actually not trying to actually set the club, but the club is kind of set because of the rotation of the body, and it's trying to get as far away as possible, trying to almost having a when the club is getting vertical, trying to have a wall against where he's trying to prevent the club from getting there and trying to rotate as much as possible, which is going to set the club. But pretty much when Rory reached that position, in terms of feeling, that's about it. That's about his backswing. He rotates his shoulder 90 degrees as far as he possibly can. He's extending his arm as far as he possibly can to the right, and he's trying to shift all his weight to the left as much as possible. Basically, I believe the feeling that at this point is trying to get as much separation between your body and the club, getting the club as far away from your body as humanly possible, to create that separation where you're shifting to the left but keeping the club as far away to the right. That way, and by rotating the shoulder to the max of your ability without moving the hips, I believe you create that position. Then this is about building the leg and getting the arm back to the left arm back to parallel to the ground, which is about this motion. And I should cut that anyway. And this about here. So from here to here. This is about building the lag. And then this is about the downswing. So let's come back a little bit. So the way he's retaining the club from going too long is actually, now that you have created space, is actually just setting the club and just trying to move the arm down, which is going to resist the club that once the club is set, it wants to go up and around. Well, when you are trying to build lag, you are pulling a little bit down, and because you're creating width, you're trying to stay to that position. That's basically creating counter forces to the club that is going to go that way. So you are going that way and that way down to resist the momentum, which then bring you to that point where he's still resisting and shifting his weight to the left. And then you can see that his heel, we have saw that on the face-on view, both of his heels are moving forward at the beginning of the downswing, which is about right here. I believe that's no, that may be a little higher. It's maybe here. Here, this is at this point where his both heel is moving forward. This is where he's finishing building the lag, and by moving both heel forward, that allows two major things. First of all, keeping the back towards the target, that allow you to build that lag without having the upper body too active. Second of all, that allow also to finish planting your left heel, your left leg into the ground. And thirdly, that allow you to start externally rotating your right leg, preparing for the rotation, the explosive rotation that is coming. So this is what he does here. And then once he is ready here, this is when he starts rotating aggressively. And by rotating aggressively, so the rotation, the motion from I finish the lag position that I'm showing you, the arm is parallel to the ground, toward impact, this is the sequence. You start rotating with your leg, which is about until here, because the rotation motion, what you need to understand, is not something that straightens the legs. The rotation motion is pretty much the opposite, because to rotate the left hip back, you almost need to bend a little bit your left leg, and in order to rotate, to move the right hip forward, you kind of need to use your hamstring, which is going to bend your right knee. So that's where you see the squat rotation here, where and then this is where he's going to start transitioning toward impact. Now that the legs have done their job, now it's time to extend, and so you need to transfer the energy from the rotation all the way up to the club. So you start with the hips, which is going to then create a little bit of axis tilt, which is going to allow the hand to go from this position all the way to impact. By extending the hips, what happens is the tension that you have in your hamstring that was bending the leg is actually transferred towards the hips to extend the hips. But so that way that release the tension from bending the knee, so the knee can actually extend. But this tension is used to turn the pelvis backward in order to create axis tilt. And then once the pelvis is turned maximum, that both legs have extended, then the tension and the power goes through the spine, and then it's automatically transferred towards the club and so on. That's pretty much it. And boom. Sorry. Come back here. And boom. And then just the release, letting the club go. That's what a release is about. So yeah, that's really kind of, I don't have a lot to say. The only thing that I can say about me compared to his swing is at this point, I believe I have my hand already too high, which means probably I'm not turning my shoulder enough and moving my arm too much across. And that's something I found I realize when you're trying to rotate more and shorten your backswing, this is not a, sorry. When you're trying to shorten your backswing, it's not about rotating less. Actually, that's quite the opposite. That's about rotating more, but with less arm action. So I believe maybe that's where I need to work on, is once I have used my wrist at the beginning to set the club, here I'm good. And then I should really try to let my arm really passive and try to make my full backswing using only shoulder, trying to keep the club as far to the right as possible, trying to let it set rather than me trying to set it. And the real checkpoint is, am I able at that point to actually set, is the club setting at that point? If not, it's probably I'm not turning enough. Because that's not a question of, that was what I believe I was wrong about, is I was trying to set the club instead of doing the right thing, which actually, as a consequence, is setting the club. And so that's mainly that. And then the second aspect is that, and I am sick of it. And so this week for the joint training, I'm going to focus mainly on that. You see when he finishes his backswing here, he's maintaining his angle, even his left shoulder is dropping a little bit. Where mine, I'm kind of getting a little bit up out of posture at the top of the swing. And I believe that is causing me a lot of trouble to finish and so on. So that's really something I need to think about. So probably since I told you that this part is about building the lag, I believe that as I'm doing so, I should really try to get down as much as possible with my left shoulder, trying to keep everything down. Because here you see that the club is, at this point, is pulling you back, so behind, perpendicular behind. There is this is in forces, you have this vector, and so you have the kind of the vector in between. And so that's kind of the resultant of two forces, the horizontal force and the vertical force, that are pulling you down. So in order to resist that, you need to both resist forward and down, which I believe, if we take a look at it, his head is moving slightly forward and slightly down. Same as his shoulder. So I believe that's kind of what is going on here, and I'm probably too passive at the top of the backswing, where I actually need to resist forward and down. That's kind of what I'm thinking here. And then for the downswing, it's quite difficult to get. At the moment, I don't have a clear view on what I'm lacking on the downswing. And also that's something I'm kind of want to change, is probably bring a computer with me, another computer, because I have a TrackMan on my first computer, but bring another computer where I can actually put on those videos and in real time comparing, because I believe I reached a point where I'm getting too easily satisfied with my swing when I see it, because I remember, okay, what approximately the swing of Rory look like, but in the detail I'm missing things. And so when I'm training, first of all, my ideas are less clear, and because I don't have the side-to-side comparison, I'm getting a little too my standard is a little too low, I believe. Now it's time that I reach if I want to reach that point and get myself done with the technique, I believe that's what I need to do. Also, something that I think is really important, because there is a million different ways to swing the golf club. And at the end of the day, the most important thing is actually to be consistent with your motion. And so what you need to understand is thinking that this position is the end of my backswing is a very easy position to check. That's kind of the thing you need to understand. The idea of getting the club just in front of the hand just in front of the hand or at the hand, it's kind of just a checking point. Honestly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if your hand are behind, in front, if the club is it just doesn't matter. What matters is that you repeat it the same way again and again. So here, for me, for instance, either I would like, because this is about being very precise, and the better you are, the more precise you want to be. Kind of see the back of the club face here. Is that kind of, there is a distance here. And for me, this distance can be, this is either the camera that is not placed the same way every time. So that's an important point. When you are doing those comparisons and having those points that you want to check, you need to have the camera set exactly the same way every single time, because otherwise that will change. But basically, this gap that you see between his hand and his face, for me, is something that can lead to inconsistency, because that's very difficult to get to judge if the head is a little more too much forward than usual or a little backward than usual. What I would like is having you see the line of the hand here, having the back of the head just as close as possible to the hand. And if the back of the club overlap the hand, I know that the face starts getting too behind. And if I see a slight gap between the head and the hand, I know that the club face starts getting a little forward. That's kind of the check. For instance, Tiger Woods' backswing plan is very easy. He draw a line from the ball through his right shoulder, and he try to get the club on that line every single time. And so that's not because having the club on that time is a way to be consistent. That's because it's easy to check if you are consistent or not with your technique. That, I believe, something that a lot of people don't really understand. They think, oh, this is a better way to swing, this is a better way to swing. No, honestly, there is a million different ways to swing the golf club and to swing it well. What's important is the consistency. And so you need to develop checkpoints that you can easily you take a look at the video and you say, okay, I'm on the right, I'm right here. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Or you check it and say, now, in a fraction of a second, you should know if whether or not you are off your system or on your system. That's kind of how important having clear checkpoints are. So, I'm going to try to get the club face as close to my hand line as possible. Then what I want here is when the club is set, what you can see here, and that's probably what I want to try, is the hand is pretty much almost dead center of the chest. Yeah, pretty much. And the club is set over the right shoulder. That's kind of a good point, because if you're trying to, because I cannot really use the plan of the club, because it's going to point between the feet and the ball, so I don't really have a checkpoint here. But for you, see that there isn't a right or wrong answer. Maybe for you, you say, okay, at this point, I want my shaft to be pointing down the ball, period. And so that's your checkpoint. Or you can say, I want, you draw a vertical line from your left shoulder, and you say, because maybe you have a very vertical plane, and you say, okay, I want my club to intersect with my vertical line of my shoulder. There is a ton of ways to do it, but the important thing for you as a player is to discover, okay, what are those checkpoints for me, and how can I make sure in just a fraction of a second, am I on the right track or not? So you can adjust accordingly. And also sometimes you will discover, okay, I have good set checkpoint, but when I'm actually on my checkpoint and I'm doing it well, this is I have some inconsistencies at right. So maybe you need to change your checkpoint, because, okay, and so that way, this is a very methodical approach to changing your technique. This is, okay, I'm doing this over and over and over, and I see that sometimes I tend to have these issues, but my technique is there, it's consistent. Okay, so if my technique is consistent, but I have those issues, maybe I should change the checkpoint I'm looking for in my swing, change a little bit, be consistent with those changes, and see what's going on. That's more scientific approach to making improvement on your game. And that, I believe, it's much more important when you start becoming a scratch player, or even more important if you're a professional player, because as a professional player you don't want to make drastic change, and so those changes are very subtle, and they are very easily, you can very easily work with them. Anyway, so yeah, first checkpoint was 90 degrees, and here pretty much that this point is kind of difficult. What I'm thinking is, at least from that position, what I want is seeing that my head is either not moving, same as my shoulder, or moving slightly forward and down. That's pretty much the only thing I kind of want. And also, yes, I have a very little checkpoint, is kind of having the shaft slightly across the line. I don't want it to be perpendicular on the target line. I want it to be slightly right to the target line to allow me to come a little bit more from the inside. Kind of what I'm looking for here. And maybe also the knee. But I mean, for me, that's easy, because that's this swing that pretty much I'm looking for, maybe with a little bit of adjustment. So that's easy. My checkpoint on basically this swing. That's a way for me to be consistent. It's not that I necessarily want to imitate Rory McIlroy. It's just that since we have roughly the same swing, and he's way better than me than I am, yeah, having his swing as a checkpoint for my swing is a way for me to be consistent. I'm training in the same direction over and over and over. And I'm using the one of the best just to stay consistent. So I believe that pretty good things, because I saw one of you talk in the comment where just swing your swing. I mean, yeah, my swing is pretty much is getting closer and closer every day to that, and that is what allowed me to be consistent. So anyway, so yeah, pretty much that. And then on the way down, as I said, at the moment I don't have a clear vision of what I'm lacking on the way down, so we will have to evolve over time. First of all, let's really get I believe I have the core foundation of what I need to do on the downswing, but it's probably going to take time to actually get it done. But yeah, working on having a good backswing with a good checkpoint, comparing my swing and getting to the right sequence, I believe is going to be the most important. Anyway, so I hope that's interesting, and that you got some value out of it, or that can help you in any way, shape, or form. So thank you for watching. And so tomorrow, I believe I'm either going, because we are only you are watching that on a Wednesday, I believe. Today we are Tuesday. Tomorrow is Wednesday. So for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, since I'm posting my training on next week, I need to fill out some content. So probably we are going to do a little bit of nutrition, what I'm taking and why I'm taking it in terms of supplements. Maybe I will do a video as well for competition, talking about nutrition competition. Maybe, I don't know. We're going to see. If you have any interest, things that you would like me to share, don't hesitate. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.